Mr. Snyder here with the last in the process of green screen editing. We've cut our subject out called a key, nice and clean in both cases. You can see it over here. We've added the background under both. We just simply copied the first version. After we've added the effects, those effects will be copied with that version and added underneath the second clip so they're identical in speed and defocus or blurriness. Okay, so last thing I'd like to do is reposition our foreground subject, the person in front of the background. And what I'm going to do is position him on one of the two sides of the frame using what's called rule of thirds. It's very quick to do, and to give you an idea of what that is, I'm going to take my play bar over to the first clip, and I've created a title right here with just sort of a fake rule of thirds. And all that is dividing the screen vertically into 3 equal parts. I know the middle here is slightly bigger. It's okay for what we're doing. And also divides the screen horizontally in 3 equal parts. So again, this isn't critical that we're perfect. It's just sort of eyeballing it. So what's the rule of thirds say? Well, in any kind of design, whether it's TV or graphics or any kind of design work that's being done, generally if you have something in the middle, in television, we call it dead center is usually dead boring. So dead center, dead boring. So we're going to position him either on the left rule of thirds, which is this vertical line, or on the right rule of thirds, which is this vertical line. And typically the eyeballs would fall close to where the horizontal rule of thirds intersect with the vertical rule of thirds. So how do I position our foreground subject? Well, first I have to click on that clip, and then we're going to go to motion up here. Okay, so there's our 8-point garbage mat from before. There's our motion. And motion, if you open it up, like so, you'll see they have a bunch of different settings. We're not going to use the position because we're going to actually do this manually. Watch what I'm going to do. If I have motion selected, not any of the settings, but motion, the word itself, look how we get the dots around here. Oh, I've got a new virus update. That's good. Get lost. Okay, so I've got him selected, and I've got motion selected. I'm going to drag him to the left. So you have to have the word motion selected. Now what I'm going to do is look over here on my program panel. You can see that I have these anchor points here. That's showing me that this is selected. And it's different than the garbage mat. Now I can grab on this screen and look, I can drag him. I can drag him all over the place. You see the problem if I raise him too high is I've cut him off at the bottom where the end of the camera frame ends. So I got to make sure that the bottom of them is below the bottom of the frame so that I'm not seeing the line. Like even that is not good. You can see the pink underneath. Okay. Then the other thing I'm going to do is place him on the rule of thirds. And I'm going to place him, sort of split the center of the face. I'm going to place him on the left rule of thirds. Again, just turn that title off. That's what it'll look like. Kind of cool, right? It's not in the center anymore. Turn the title back on. Or I could place him, again, go to motion on his clip. I could place him on the right side rule of thirds. The eyes typically fall at the intersecting points. It's called the points of interest. It doesn't have to be exact. Close enough. I'll turn off that grid again. See? That's what it looks like. Now, I'm going to bring a title into this to say who this is, Samir. I'm going to fly it in from the left side. I'll do that in the next tutorial. And to do so, I've made some room for it now because I don't really want the title over him. That's, a little cheesy. What I've done is cleared some space by using the rule of thirds. Not only does it look nice and balanced if he's on the right side, because this is very bright, draws my eye, and he's on the right, draws my eye. It sort of balances this frame. Again, I can move him up a bit. What else could I do here? Okay, well, we're seeing a lot of the underneath the Nike swoop, so why don't we scale him? So now under motion, doesn't have to be selected anymore, select scale. And under scale, it doesn't actually select unless I'm keyframing, which I'm not. Click on the 100% here and just drag it up. And look, I'm making him bigger. Now, don't go any higher than, say, 110 to 115, because then you start to degrade the quality. It's not really the way to do this, but it'll work for our purposes without degrading the quality too much. Typically, you'd frame the camera a little tighter. I can move them down. Let's turn on that rule of thirds again. The eyes should be close to the intersecting points. Oops, sorry. Go to motion. Now I can move them. There we go. I could scale them just a bit more. There we go. And now I've got Samir. His eyes aren't perfectly on the horizontal rule of thirds, but that's Close enough. It's never going to be perfect. Life isn't perfect. There we go. Kind of cool. He looks a little more interesting on one side of the frame or the other. And now I've created space for him here. Now, remember that we have all those presets done for the garbage mat and the Alt key. So what do you think we do? Because clip 2 here, he's currently centered. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to clip 1. Make sure I'm looking at it just to not confuse myself. Go to motion on clip 1. There's my settings that I've changed. I dragged it, so I've changed my X and my Y, and I've scaled it up. I'm about 120% now. I'm going to bring it down a bit more. Move them up a bit. There we go. Okay, so those are my settings. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go to motion, right click, save preset, command, left arrow to go to the beginning, Samir, motion preset. Now I've saved these settings as a preset. Click OK. Go to our effects. Got to take the word blur out of there. Click the X to get rid of everything, and I can see presets. Go down to where it says Samir, which is right down here. There's his 8-point garbage mat, Alt key. Hey, there's his motion preset. Click, drag it to the second clip. I've now applied that motion preset to the second clip. Bang. And he should be literally in the same place. Now, if he's moved a little bit in the frame between takes, that's why you might see a little bit of a difference. Let me just take this rule of thirds and drag it right across both. Okay, so now I'm going to go to this one there and there. Does he jump a little in frame? Yeah, so why don't I take that? I like this one because his eyes are close to the intersecting point. Let's go to the second clip. Click on it. I'm going to adjust that motion a little bit. Go to motion because he's shifted between the first take and second. I'm just going to move them over so that it's kind of similar to the first. Look at that. Excellent. So now we've used, and again, this is just guide, these lines here, just a guide I've created using the titler just for demonstration purposes. Actually, I can even select it and delete it now. It's still, of course, in my bins. Okay, so that's what the first one will look like. Play it. Nice. Second one. Play it. I haven't trimmed this yet. There's the point there. I'll trim everything. Look at how quick I can do this. There we go. Trim it. Trim it.
That sure brought back a lot of memories. Most of us
nice.
Look a little older.
And now we've got room for the title. That's going to be our last tutorial in actually creating the visual content for this green screen tutorial. And then we're done, and then we're going to add this to our main template, which is still over here untouched.